All right, all right. My name is Dr. Bagley. Thank you very much for joining me. All right, so today we're going to be talking to business, a little business. We're going to talk about leadership. We're going to define it and give you some insight. Okay. Leaders, all my leaders. Now, when I say leaders, I'm talking about anyone who is working for a company, who may be in a leadership role, supervisor, manager, CEO, because that is a first line of work. A CEO is the first line of work from the board of directors, to the entrepreneur, those who are actually over and the company and or founders and running the company itself. So there's that. Leaders. Let's talk. I've been in business professionally, ever since I was early in my 20s. My very first business I started, I sold it for a little over $10 million, just to give you some insight. And it was from scratch all the way to 10 million, and we sold it, and I've been rolling ever since. Okay. Leaders. What is leaders? Leaders are those who take chaos, things that is problematic. So let's wrap it up and call it chaos, and we put it in order. Okay? We set it in order. All leaders take problems. The problems is the objective, the financial problems, product problems, services problems, advertising problems, whatever the problem is, a leader takes that problem and brings order to it. Okay? In the context of this discussion, when we talk about the chaos by itself is the unknown to the people or the team that you have. It's unknown to them of what are we going to do with this problem. A leader takes that problem, goes to that chaos, and lays out something that brings order to it. Okay? It can be something from the IRS. It can be something from financials. It can be a product of supplies that you don't have, the lack of employment, and so on and so on. Okay, so your job as a leader is to take chaos and bring order to that chaos. At the same time, that chaos that you have to deal with, you also have to deal with the people, because your team may not know the insight that you have, and that's why they're bringing it to you. Okay. One of the ways that a team can have confidence in you as the leader is the fact of you and how you behave. You have to behave in such a way that, how do I say, you have to have thick skin. It's a saying, meaning you've been stressed out so much that to be continued being stressed is just like a normal day. So when you have a team, they're looking at the leader in the context of, if the leader, it looks like they're having problems and issues and nervousness and uncertainties, then the team will also feel that energy, and then that cause and effect. They will then consider other means. A leader has another issue, and let's talk a little bit about social issue when it comes to a leader. A leader, when he's doing his job, he's building, I should say not building, but he's dealing with chaos. In the context, he has to deal with that. When he comes home, let's put it in the context of a man with a woman. When he comes home to a woman, the last thing he needs is chaos at home. A leader does not want to come home to chaos at home. He wants to come home to a home that is built with nurturing components within it. And again, I will say to everyone, we're not talking about cooking and cleaning. We're talking about taking care of one another. If you're both tired, go out, order food. If something is wrong, ladies, but don't bring chaos to him if he's in a leader role at work and he's dealing with chaos at work. I guess you can socially wrap this up by saying a leader can buy a house, but it is the woman who can make that house a home. And if she can make it a home, when he comes home, he will want to stay home. But if he comes home and there's still chaos, there's still problems, there's still nagging, there's still issues, because the woman has this belief that she's independent or she wants to do her own thing and she's about self, which is nothing wrong with that by itself. She can be about self because she has her own career and she has her own thing. But the context is when you come home, when everyone comes home, is it nurturing? Okay? A leader will stay by himself if he doesn't have a home to come home to, because the home is not nurturing. So be mindful. If you have a leader and you can't provide nurturing to a house that makes it into a home, then he's alone. And if he's alone, then what he does is use a person as he or she needs it. Okay? Okay. Let's move on from that. Okay. A leader now. Let's talk about the personality aspect of leaders. We know that a leader deals with chaos and brings order to the chaos, but how do they do that? A leader should not, or is not, but definitely should not be a farmer. Not a literal farmer, but I'm talking about the farming mentality, the work style. A work style when it comes to a farmer is till the ground, plant the seed, wait for the harvest. A lot of leaders and owners and managers, they get to that point where they work hard and they dedicated to this thing. And when they get to that point of harvest picking, then they get relaxed. And that's a problem. It's a problem, and give me a second and I'll explain why that's a problem. It's a problem because at the end of the day, that type of leader is a passive type person. They submit without any objection. You know, they're dealing with it, and they always have an excuse of why things are happening, and we'll get into that in a second. The other type of leader, which is not a farmer but a hunter. A hunter is someone who's pursuing something. They're after it, even though there's a harvest aspect to the business or to your work. They're still hunting for the next thing. A lion, for example, he's a hunter because he can just have a kill, be full, and still go out and try to hunt something else. A male bear will kill the cubs of the mother bear if it's another father. An alligator will kill its own young if it gets too close and the alligator's too hungry. A hunter is someone who's pursuing something continuously. And there's a reason why you have to do that. and not be a farmer mentality. Let me give you one very good indication of why you need that, and that is because of competition. You can have something new in your product or your service, and it can be brand new, but give it a little time. Somebody's going to take it, improve it, and now you have competition. Something that America makes, China is going to make it better. Something China makes, America is going to take it and try to make it better. Try to make it better. A competition is in your product and service is you're not the only one doing something, okay? And so the question is, a leader has to deal with that fact that you're not the only one doing something. And a farmer is okay with competition. They're passive to the competition. A leader is not passive. He's pursuing to the competition. Now, let me explain something when it comes to competition. A leader has a team, and the team has family. That family is dependent on that team member. That team member is dependent on the leader. If you are closed-minded, you're a farmer because you're only concerned about is yourself. Okay? I'm going to work. I'm going to make sure I'm good, making sure my team is good, but not worry about the other competitor who, by the way, has families who are dependent by the team members, and the team members is depending on their livelihood on the leader. So now you have two leaders. They're competing amongst one another, and this is what we call war. We're warring, the two leaders in the businesses, two different businesses, for the same consumer, because this consumer we're only going to buy one product, one service, in competing with the competitors. And they're going to buy the best one for themselves. Okay. A farmer only thinks about themselves. A hunter thinks about the competitor. So not only is the leader also dealing with chaos and bringing order to that, dealing with the people called the team members, dealing socially, dealing with at-home stuff. You can get an idea of how and why it's very hard to run a business. But now that you have a chaos, you also have to now understand we're at war. And what we're warring about is the consumer dollar. So I want what the other leader wants, and we're both trying to get the single consumer dollar. And this is where things come like The Art of War, the book of Art of War. It explains a lot of things, but if I'm a leader and you're a leader, but I see that your mentality is like a farmer, and you're just grabbing and taking care of and enjoying life because you're benefiting from the harvest, it's just a matter of time before I conquer you, because I'm a hunter. And it's just a matter of time that I'm going to take your product or your service, match it and better it, and then undercut the price to make sure you can't compete against me. And so therefore, blame comes in when that happens, and it's going to happen. Blame comes in, and a farmer is going to say, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We're going to make it. Don't worry about it. We're going to make it. Let the competitors do what they do. We're going to make it, because that's just... Or you'll see some kind of leader, some leaders blame the team. You're not working hard. You're not doing hard enough. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And it's the product. You're not producing the product right, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, we all heard the stories. Well, those are leaders who are not hunters. They were farmers because they took the harvest and bought cars and house and clothes, and they look good and everything is wonderful because the business is doing good, but they're not leaders as hunters become, because leaders like hunters kill. We will take over the business, and we're watching, and everyone is watching. Don't think acquisitions, or I should say mergers and acquisitions. Don't think merging and acquisitions. It takes time, and sometimes that time is in years. We're watching and we're patient. We're making sure we can conquer you, and we're going to conquer you. And what does that conquer just looks like? It looks like I'm going to take your business and take your team and let them go because my team is better. And so a leader, if he's not worried about the team in the context of competitiveness, then why would you want to trust that leader long term? What do we do? Because everything I just laid out is to give you a small idea about a leader who deals with chaos, who tries to bring order, takes care of the people, call the team, has a social life or tries to have a social life, and then breaks it down to am I a farmer because I'm taking the profits and I have a harvest and I'm looking good and acting good and all of that good stuff because of the harvest? Or am I a leader? I'm still pursuing and I'm pursuing and I'm pursuing and I'm building and I'm conquering, because we're at war. Going into business is at war. And so therefore, either you're going to be conquered or someone is conquering, one or the other. Laying that out, how do you go around not being conquered? And what I mean by conquered, I'm not talking about just your product and service. I'm talking about you as the worker or you as the leader. Because all things said and done, there's always someone bigger and better. But what happens when that happens to you? How do we work on war? Because yes, we are at war. Well, we need a plan of action. So take note. If you get a paycheck because you started a new job, I know in your mind you're planning on what you're going to do with those dollars. Okay. So you need a plan of action for startup. If you're in a startup position, you need a plan of action. What is that structure? How does that structure look like? How does that business look like? And you need to put it on paper. Excuse me. Now, what I mean by put it on paper, sometimes we can call it a business plan. Sometimes we can call it, something. Let's just keep it simple. Let's call it a business plan. A business plan gets you informed of your finances. What are you trying to do? What is the cost to that? Where are you going to get your supplies or all of that? Who is your competitors as of right now? Are you even in a position to compete? Why do something if you're not willing to compete, right? So that startup plan of action is you need a business plan, and you need to take time, and it needs to be thought out. This is not something just to do. You need to think it through because you're getting ready to go to war. Then once you get your plan of action, then after that you'll get the seed funding, or somebody will come and invest, or you have the money to invest, but you have investors and they like your startup plan. And so they want to invest. Now, what do investors invest in? They invest in 10% of the plan, 90% in you. If you're having trouble raising capital money for your business, it's probably because you're a farmer. And no investor will invest their hard-earned investments into someone who is a farmer, meaning someone who takes a business, grow the business, and just leech off of the harvest. No. However, if you're a hunter and you can show that investor, I'm going to take that money and I'm going to grow that money by taking over competitors and blah, 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 then you'll more likely can get seed money or funded money. That's the objective of investors. I want to invest in a leader who's a hunter, who also understands chaos and has a plan of action to take chaos and bring it in order, who also has deals with competing nature, meaning you got something in the pipeline. If you don't believe me, look in the stock market. Find a company. I'll give you an example. Look at Apple for an example. Apple's hitting a wall, and that investors are showing the leaders the outcome of their leadership. Okay. Then you need plan of action for operation. We have a business, we're running with the business, we have a pipeline. What am I doing to keep this operation going? Well, you have to deal with chaos to bring it in order. You have to deal with your people. Sometimes you got to take your social and put it aside. You're not a farmer, so you're going to try to be a hunter. And so you're always thinking on your competitors and the war aspect, and the operations, action of plan has to start with that in mind. We got this. This is what we're doing. I got a strong team. I'm building this. We're rolling with it. What's the plan? Job descriptions, so on and so on. Okay. Then the last part is survival, action plan. What is your survival? You got the operations, it's running. You got the money. You're funded to run. What now? You're surviving. What's the survival? Because you're now in the war. You're in battle. What's your 5-year, 10-year, 50-year plan? Because if you don't have a plan, like a 5-year, 10-year, or 50-year plan, I guarantee you, within 5 years, you'll probably close. In 10 years, you'll probably close. Definitely in 50 years, nobody will remember your name. So I say this just simply to say, guys, leadership is not easy. And the problem that I'm facing in the counseling world is leaders who think the objective is to make money. And no, if you don't remember nothing else, remember this. The objective is not making money. The objective is surviving and beating your competitors. That's the objective. The money is the result of your benefit of doing what you're doing. If you don't have money, it's because you can't show the consumer, you can't show investors, you can't show your team that you're a hunter, you have a plan of action, and you're willing to go to war with it. Because the worst thing anyone can come to conclusion in you, and that is you're a friend. You get stressed out when other people get stressed. You take money and you manipulate. You misappropriate it. And all of those things that we all heard the stories and see other people go through, It's just a matter of time before their business shuts down. But the disappointment is not the fact that the business shut down. The disappointment is you have a team, and their team is relying on you as a leader to have a successful business, because the team has a family and their families is depending on the team member. So when you close your business down, you're disappointing your team members, and the team members is going to be disappointing their family, because the family trusts that the team player is working with a great leader that's going to go to war and provide a lifestyle in the future. And when you don't, it's very disappointing. So, we understand what a leader is, what their job is, what their mentality is, should be. The truth is, get a plan of action. If you're starting up, have a business plan. If you're looking for investors, are you a farmer or you're a hunter? Because 10% is on the plan, 90% is in you. Operations, do you have a business? Are you running your business? If you are, do you have the best employees as possible? Do you have the money? And so on and so on. Is your product and service comparing to yourself to your competitors? Is it still better than at a lower cost for the consumer? And survival, what is your action plan for the next 5, 10, or 50 years? Put all that together. Understand that's what a leader does. And this is why in the big multi-billion-dollar companies, the CEO, leader, and the board, but mostly the CEO and the team, the executive team, gets paid a lot. If you're starting out, and this is why the CEO or the founder gets paid more than the workers. This is why leaders, supervisors, managers get paid more than the workers. So if you're a worker and you want to get up into that rank of leader, just know you're going to go through some things. But prove you can take chaos, bring order to it. Prove that you're a team player, taking care of the people. Prove that you're a hunter and not a farmer. Prove that you're willing to look at your competitors and go to war with them. Prove that with a plan of action. And yes, shit, I'll hire you. Anyway, so that's what I got for you today. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know down below. If it's personal and you really need some assistance, just DM me. I'm here for you guys. If nothing else, I'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Bye-bye.